Hey everybody, what's up? Happy Sunday. Welcome to Etc. Live. I'm your host, Kelly Barrett. I am super excited tonight. It's actually the third anniversary of my show today. And so I wanted to do something a little different from the music scene. And I brought in an extremely talented actor. He's been on the show before. A lot of you were excited for this because you know him as the drug dealing badass Cyrus from Trailer Park Boys. He also played Kirk Bowers on Haven, among many other roles. Welcome, Bernard Robichaud.
Hey, thank you for having me, Kelly. Appreciate it. It's very kind.
It's great to see you back. I was thinking earlier as I was getting ready for this. This is such a more settled atmosphere since the last show that we did a couple of years
Yeah,
back.
you were in hibernation somewhere, I think.
You were in
Some
your car, and I was in Saskatoon at a rock festival,
right.
and I had packed, just for the viewers that maybe didn't see that show, and I had packed all my gear to do the show in the hotel, assuming it was a franchise hotel. It wasn't the Bates Motel or anything like that, so assuming the internet would work. And
Yeah,
the internet was unbelievably atrocious, and so I was panicking, and I'm down at the front desk, and I'm trying to call community centers and everything else to do this interview, and the front desk person like invited me into their home. So remember, I did the interview from
yeah,
a total stranger's murder basement.
yeah. Okay, good. It worked out.
It worked out. We made it happen.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, so obviously, there's lots of obvious stuff that we want to talk about. What have you been up to since I saw you last? You had a few projects in the go that you couldn't really
Yeah,
talk about, but
yeah. Just did Hazley and the new. I expect that they'll go back into production now that sometime in the new year. Now that the strike is over and everything. So Hazley is an animated series, um, but it kind of morphs into the new, which is a apocalyptic. So they kind of all go in unison from one to another. So it'd be kind of like, I guess, Trailer Park Boys doing mushrooms and then ending up being animated. Except this is all science fiction. So um, it's kind of a cool concept. It's by a girl, Miranda Spinglier, who worked on this New York Times bestseller, and Marissa Romanoff, and so that's another series that she's got. So it would be all kind of three would intertwine with one another. So we'll see how it goes. There was like 9 episodes, I think, slated for Marissa Romanoff, and then I think there's 6 for Hazley and 6 for the new. So we'll see what happens. Contracts haven't been signed, but I have done the work on it already, so I know that it's in the works. And I just recently talked to the director producer, so yeah, we'll see.
well, that's exciting. And where will we be able to watch that, Bernard?
No idea.
No, no. Okay,
I have
you'll keep me
no
posted though, right?
idea. I will keep you posted. Yes, yes, yes. As soon as that comes up, I want everybody to watch it. You don't want that sliding off the radar too quickly.
Right on. Hey,
Yeah.
Doug Corby. Hi. I knew Doug was going to be here for this. He's just saying hi, Bernard. Hi, Kelly. Good to see you in the crowd. I just want to take a really quick second to thank my show sponsors, Writers and Rockers Coffee Company. Tonight's feature coffee is Lee Aaron. So have you ever heard it? I think, Bernard, I don't know if I had this the last time that you were here, but so it's Rockstar endorsed gourmet coffee. That's who my
Oh wow.
sponsors are. Yeah, so this is Lee Aaron's Body Rock. Good Christmas gifts. So check it out on www.writersandrockerscoffee.com.
Huh.
So Bernard,
Uh,
lots to chat about, but I know
yeah.
everybody wants to know about, you are so infamously known for Cyrus and such a great character and so well
Thank you.
loved for that. And I mean, we've talked about this before, but there's a lot of new viewers who didn't catch the first show. Can you tell us how that all got started? Like, how do you become Cyrus on Trailer Park Boys?
I auditioned like most everybody else, I guess. I got a call on a Friday evening from Barry Dunn, who played, you know, in the show as well, asking me to audition on a Saturday morning for Mike for the show. Um, and so I drove from Moncton to Halifax, a couple hours, spent 45 minutes in a room with Mike chucking insults at me and me responding to those. And he took that tape and sent it off to Alliance Atlantis, and that was Saturday's. Monday afternoon, Barry called me and told me that I had the part. So I had to kind of go through Alliance Atlantis first. I think they had somebody originally, somebody else that they were interested in having as Cyrus, and of course they were producers, so yeah, they would get something to say about it unless, Barry and Mike were able to come up with somebody that would be better than who they had in mind.
And so were the insults part of the test, Bernard? Like, see how he responds to these, and or they just his personality?
That was part of the audition process. So it was like the ad-libbing of him chucking the insults at me. So, yeah, I mean, I guess Barry, I said great because I was happy that I got the role, but and I was getting ready to hang up, and I said, okay, well, great, thanks a lot, man. I'll talk to you later. And Barry goes, well, wait a minute, don't you want to know what they said? And I said, oh, yeah, okay, what'd they say? They said, where the fuck did you find a guy like that?
What a great compliment. That's a good compliment.
It was a good compliment for a character that I was about to play, yeah.
And so when you get this role, Bernard, do you have any clue that it's going to be what it became, or do you just think, oh, this might be fun and we'll see where it goes, or like, did you have any inkling that it would have exploded into this, nationwide phenomenon?
I don't think I do anything that I do with some sort of expectation or preconceived notion that it's gonna, blow the doors off of everything that's on TV or anything like that. Realistically, happy to work.
Right?
happy to work and get the part, and and it's done when it's done. That had nothing to do with me. That's just the teamwork and everybody that was involved. So.
Right. And I only asked that, Bernard, because I've had other guests on that are more into music, and some of them will say, I knew when we wrote this song, we just knew it was different than the rest. And so I always find it an interesting question, but I love your humble answer.
The third season, second season, Rob Wells and I were sitting in the school there before the teacher, in the classroom scene. And we both looked at each other and said, oh man, pretty cool, right? We got another season and 7 episodes this year. It was kind of like, which made if it was anywhere else, it would be 13 episodes would have been in a complete season. But we just kept getting these little bits and drabs, of money to see. I think everybody, I don't know, I think just everybody was still kind of concerned about the format and whether or not it was going to fly. And so maybe that's why. But I don't think in season 7 or 3 and 4 we even ever got much more than that either. I think 5 was. I think we had 10 episodes that year, maybe more. I don't know. That was a big season. There was a lot going on that year.
Right. And I think there's some truth to that, because you really do never know. And especially when it comes to comedy. And we discussed this last time, Bernard. Comedy is very relative. What certain people find funny, maybe other people don't. But I think, and I'll get your opinion on what you think attributed to the mass appeal of it. In the end, once it did take off, why do you think that is? I have some theories, but I'll ask you, why do you think it became so successful?
I think there's somebody in there that appeals to everybody, or it appealed to oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah. Let's shake everybody up a bit.
Wake up.
I think it appealed to a broad range of generationally, and I think everybody can identify to one of those characters or has met one of them in somewhere along the road.
I would agree. That was going to be my response. I think we've all known a Ricky, and some of us, myself included, have known the odd Cyrus or two. When we were younger and wild, and
exactly.
And so it's very relatable, and I really think it came along, Bernard, at a time where reality TV was kind of becoming a thing, and So I
Well,
think
I think it was the first really reality TV show that kind of hit the market. I don't recall anything before 2000 that was reality TV. I mean, maybe there was some stuff on TLC or the Learning Channel, but honestly, I really feel like it kind of put Weeds in The Office and all those other shows. It kind of made a footprint for all them and allowed them to kind of grow as well. So I don't know. I like to think that it was the first kind of the stepping stone for reality TV in many ways. It certainly was. Uh, Certainly, it was a genius of Mike to foresee that and to put it into practice and do what he did with it. It's pretty genius.
it was like good foresight because you did see it in the odd, like you said, the Learning Channel or those kind of. But as far as just regular like network television, there really was nothing, doing
Yeah,
anything, of that nature. And so I would imagine there was probably a lot of ad-libbing going on.
yeah. I think there always was in every season. I think it was a little different the first two or three, but I think you experiment and you have to tighten it up. I think in that sort of genre, it's easy to kind of ad lib all the time and just lose sight of where you're going from your plot lines and getting from A to B. So you have to. I think Mike did a great job, and I was happy and fortunate enough to be a part of it. So. I took the opportunities to ad lib when he allowed me to, and some great lines came out of that. So,
And can you tell us a couple of the big ones that are still famous today?
tough. I mean, fuck
I
off! I
can
got work to do is probably the biggest
fuck
one.
off. I got work to
Say,
do.
safety always off.
Yeah, 9 millimeter safety always
Safety
off.
always. Yeah, I mean that one for sure. Not sure about bologna sandwich, knuckle sandwich you pick. Probably not bad though. I think Cyrus has got some iconic lines out there. There's no doubt.
Well, he's just so cool. He would like to me. He was kind of like like the Fonz of the 20th century, and speaking of the Fonz, it just popped into my head that you were kind of on the cusp of meeting Henry Winkler.
Yeah,
I just
for
popped into my
Comic
head. We
Con.
talked about that, yeah, and it didn't work
Yeah,
out, but
didn't
but
work out. No.
but you have that persona, and I wonder, like, was Cyrus the first role that you played with that kind of tough guy, badass persona? Was that the first
Uh,
time you played that?
no, I think I played all my characters. I don't think I had any like characters uh, that weren't bad guys. Like I always kind of got those roles. Not that that was a bad thing. I think they were more
No,
fun to play.
I would imagine, and you know what it is? You just have that look. Like I know you,
I
I know you're a nice guy, but you just have that badass look. You look like you're from the streets of New York. And you even sound like, you even kind of sound like you're from the city, like the New York or well, you are from Boston originally.
yeah, but that left there when I was a young like a boy. So I don't know that that had any influence. Maybe where I grew up. Uh, in in Spryfield. That might have been part of it. Maybe I don't.
Right.
But
And
pretty close to a.
you had a colorful childhood, and we talked about this on the last show.
Yeah,
So I think that probably only helped you to sort of maybe play that extreme character all the better. Would you say?
I think it certainly helped. I think all those experiences add to and memories add to bringing that character together. That's for sure. Not to mention, I mean, I knew a lot of those kind of guys, so. They lived right next door in another neighborhood called Klein Heights that I, frequented because I had a lot of friends that I went to school or played hockey with that lived in there. So, but there was, some guys that played hockey and there were other guys that you weren't really sure what they were doing. So just try to avoid.
They were up to no good.
Just try to avoid them whenever possible.
Shenanigans.
Yeah, there was a lot of shenanigans going on. There was that gray area that I used to like to think of it as like you're playing ball hockey in amongst like the chain link fence that's on the school grounds, and outside where the cars are parked are your other buddies that you went to school with who were just stealing car stereos.
Right. It's like, ooh, which way to go?
I was really busy just playing ball hockey and trying to avoid all that information that I was gathering at the same time. Yeah.
So you narrowly escaped being a hoodlum is basically what you're saying.
That's probably fairly accurate. Yeah.
Yeah, but don't you think though, it kind of, I don't know, like I lived through some wild times when I was young too, and I think honestly in the end, as long as you come out of it, I think it makes you a more well-rounded person. I really do. It makes you, and especially when you get into the acting business as you have, I think it just makes you more easily able to relate to different characters. Whereas if you lived a very sheltered life, you might not have that instinct and intuition to fill a role. And yeah, I was thinking today when I was just looking at pictures. So. Yeah, every time I see you, you got a gun in your hand. I think.
Yeah, there's got that going on. Yeah,
I got that going on. I'm just gonna say a quick hello to some of the comments we're getting in here. Oh, my sister's in the house. Hi, Leanne. Leanne, yeah, she was looking forward to this one. Hi, sweetie, love you. Thanks for tuning in. Curtis Vasselnack, local musician. He's like, hey guys, happy Sunday. Hi, Curtis. Thanks for joining us. So here's a question I had, like kind of based on what we were just talking about, because I was thinking today, as a Canadian actor, normally when we think of actors, we think of people, they move to LA or they move to New York. And I'm almost wondering, and then I started thinking, but maybe there's something to the big fish in a small pond theory.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Whereas if you're an actor in Canada, I mean, you go to LA and you can't swing a dead cat without smacking an actor, right?
Yeah.
But if you're in Canada and you have that talent, maybe it's almost a bonus for you to not be there, but to be here. And I'm just wondering what your thoughts are on that.
Well, I still have my agents in Toronto. I would never get rid of them. They still send, put me out for auditions for sure, or submit me for parts, and that I auditioned for. Granted, I haven't done much in the last 6 months from them, but I had it took me a couple of years which it's kind of part and parcel. I think whenever you move, you're the new guy on the block.
Yeah.
Everybody's, no matter what I did in the past, didn't really seem to matter. Agencies had enough, or they didn't care, or whatever the case might be. They had enough guys in my age bracket, whatever it was. So I just recently, I had an agent and she decided to get out of the business, and I just recently got another one about 6-8 months ago. And she's hungry, and she's got a lot of people. She's been in the business, in the casting business before, so she's connected. And it's a little boutique agency, much the same as the one that I have in Toronto as well. I just find if I was with one of the big artists, I think you just kind of get lost. And to be honest with you, even if I did land something that I ended up making, or doing really well with, don't think that I would budge from changing my agents around. I'm kind of a guy that, if you've got my back, then I feel like I'm going to have yours too. And, just because you're a big agent doesn't necessarily mean that the agent I have couldn't find a manager or a management team or something to work together with in order to make it happen. I don't think I would get rid of anybody that, unless they weren't doing the job. I can't imagine myself doing that. It's not. That doesn't mean shit to me. What matters is that loyalty and watching out for each other, because it is. I think the entertainment industry can have its moments where you're unsure from day to day, and who's really for you and who's not, and Yeah, I don't want that in my life at this point in my career. Too old for
100%.
that.
Yeah, well, I totally get it, Bernard. Like even in the music industry, I dealt with agents too, and you're absolutely right. The top agency may not be the one that does the job, and sometimes I think the other agents that are willing to jump on board and, like you said, really have your back. Those are the ones that I love what you said, that you stay loyal to because they've got your back, right? And
Mm-hmm.
and they're going to go to bat for you and that sort of thing. And
Everybody's getting the same breakdowns for the casting, so anybody could submit themselves. I mean, that's why you got breakdown services and Actors Access and those out there now, where people don't maybe not necessarily have an agent at all, and they're still submitting themselves for roles. So
right. And so you've worn a few creative hats, so Bernard. You've done, you're a comedian, you're a writer, you were a model. You started out as a model,
yeah,
and then you did the comedy thing. You did like a kind of a one
yeah.
man stand up comedy show. What was that like?
Well, that was like realizing that guys that go out there every night and come up with new bits and try them out, and it doesn't work, and they go back out the next night and try it out again and again and again and again. My hat goes off to all those guys that want to do that. Mine was all based around Cyrus, so that part wasn't that difficult. People would show up because of the character and the franchise more than anything else, I'm sure. I think the stuff was well written. There was it started out as 20 minutes, ended up being like an hour.
Wow.
Over time, yeah. An hour is a long time to be up there by yourself.
It is, but just you and a microphone, people don't realize that's, you have to have a lot of material, and
it's a long time. It's basically a one-man show at that point, written between me and a couple other buddies of mine that helped me put it together. A guy by the name of Andrew Young and Andrew Albert. And then I would put it in my own words, or, it's kind of comedy is a strange, it's never done. You're always finding another way to make it funnier.
right.
Or it's the wording of it that makes it funnier, and you just got it backwards that night, and that's the only difference that it made. So there's a lot there's a lot to be said for the guy that does that on a night-to-night basis. I found for me that after 6 years of doing it, I was good.
Yeah, I'm good. Been there, done that.
It was very difficult to kind of show up as myself after doing Cyrus for 6 years.
Right.
Everybody wanted to see me or the character, not me. And then, most of my life I had changed to be like Cyrus. So to change it back seemed like, oh my God, I got to start all over again. And I was tired from going from small town to small town to small town, these little venues. Sometimes you get 100 people, 150. Some nights you get 30 or less. And, depending on the town, maybe they watch the show, maybe they don't. Maybe they just want to get out of the house because there's nothing else to do in their little town.
Right.
And if they don't know those show or no, so some get the jokes and some are looking at you with that puppy dog look on their face. I was tired of looking at the puppy dog looks. So
I don't blame you because
comedy,
humor's so subjective, right? And even as far as and the only reason I'm
listen too.
You got to be there prepared to laugh. Like, I think some people go out and like, go ahead, I dare you, make me laugh. Well, screw you. Why are you here then, right? It's like
there's that. I've just found that there were more people that wanted to chuck insults at Cyrus that would prevent everybody else from hearing what I was saying. And so, you lose your spot or you lose the joke or everybody else loses the joke. And it's, you might as well have just sat down, spent 15 minutes with everybody's table, and that could have been the show,
Right? Fired off Cyrusisms.
Okay. At your table now. What insults have you got? Okay, great. All right. Cheers to that.
Well, hats off to you. Yeah. See ya. Thanks for playing.
Yeah. I'll be over at this next table. You can throw an insult over there if you want to, but wait till they finish hurling insults.
Yeah. Well, hats off to you for that, my friend, because I like when I was on the road in the rock band, we played this one bar about 6 times a year, and they'd always have a comedian on the Friday night before we went on, and we would just watch. And they were always really good comedians, but they always died a horrible death in this bar because it was like this mountain town, like.
And everybody's waiting for the band because they want to hear the music. They don't want to hear a guy do stand up. I've done that gig. I know what it's like. And everybody wants to listen to music and dance and have fun. They want to listen to a guy stand up there for half an hour. It doesn't matter how good he is. They're not listening to him.
Yeah, I would just feel so bad for them because we would watch them and they were like top of the line yucks comedians. Some of them had been on TV shows. So we would always take them out and get them drunk after because we just felt so
they
bad.
Probably needed it.
Yeah, it's like, don't worry, trust me, we're city folk just like you. You were amazing. Mountain people have a different sense of humor, maybe, I don't know. But anyway, hello Maggie Hall. Maggie's saying hello to us. Dino Vizzuti. Hey there, Kelly and Bernard. Really enjoying this interview. Cheers. I'm really enjoying this too. Oh, you know what? Speaking of comedy, I think we should give away some free comedy tickets. So huge shout out to Good Times Comedy Club Lethbridge. They are giving away one free 4-pack of tickets for all you local viewers. There's a few you locals in the house, so make sure you give an answer to this. I'm going to let Bernard ask the skill testing question.
Oh my God.
I'm going to give you a drum roll. It's not too hard. We went easy. Are you ready? Can you hear the drum roll? Here we go.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah. What was the name of the trailer park in Trailer Park Boys series? That should be a no-brainer.
There you go. But you know what? We give away tickets quick, and that's good.
Get on that line now.
Get her done. Ring those phones.
Yeah.
Oh, Bernard. So you've worked with some pretty big ticket Hollywood actors.
Yeah, over the years I have.
Like Kathy Bates, I love her. I love her. James Caan, Billy Zane. Do you feel like you learn something when you work with these, super successful actors? Not that you're not successful, but you know what I'm saying. Like,
I don't know that I learned anything I don't know that I learned anything on the day. I mean, I think we're both everybody's into just doing what they need to do and getting their job done. And making sure you hit your marks and delivering the line, as realistically as possible, depending on what you're hearing from the other actor. So, action, reaction kind of thing. So,
is there any nervousness? Is there any nervousness, Bernard? Sorry to cut you off.
No.
Like initially, I mean, like for example, if I were working with you and I met you in person, I'd feel slightly, in awe. And I'm wondering, is there any?
Yeah.
Because I do, even doing the show when I meet my guests, I'm slightly, not nervous is not the word, but like excitedly in awe. And I'm wondering, does that disappear pretty quickly on the set amongst actors?
I don't know. I never really had that going on. I think, for me, I knew a lot of athletes before I became an actor. So I don't know that I ever kind of really was, that, I don't know, what do they call that?
Like when you're just a huge fan and then you get to work with somebody.
I don't know that I don't know that I had that kind of thing going on where I was, in awe of, we're just all people just doing a job.
That's right. Yeah.
I mean, none of us would have those names if we didn't have a fan base behind us that were supporting the series or the character or the movie or whatever it is that you're doing. So I never really. I mean, hey, it's great, but when I met Jimmy Caan, I said, can I pour you a cup of coffee while I'm here, Mr. Caan? He said, just call me Jimmy. Yeah, I'll take it black, Bernie. I said, okay.
There we go.
That was it. Yeah. okay. So I mean, it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't anything that we had an issue with, or
Right.
I'm not starstruck or anything like that, where
Right,
I
right,
couldn't
right. That's not what I
function.
meant. Yeah. And I guess, I kind of understand that to a certain degree because, I remember as I was mentioning, it's my 30-year anniversary. And I remember 2.5 years ago, for some odd reason, Lee Aaron, speaking of which, the coffee, Lee Aaron was coming on the show. And I grew up idolizing this woman. And she was one of the ones that got me into the rock and roll singing business. It's like I wanted to be her. And so then fast forward these years later, she's coming on my show. And I remember about 10 minutes before, I practically had a panic attack. And I don't know why, but I was like, I'm going to be talking to Leah and I had to like meditate for a little bit. And it's the only guest I've ever felt that way with. And I think it's just because I had such great admiration for her. And then 2 minutes in, she was just the sweetest, most easygoing. We were like two girls talking about skincare, blah, blah, blah. And I've never felt that. I never felt that way again. So I
You're
kind
like
of I get what you're saying, right? You learn that it's just people doing a job that
yeah.
are extremely talented and have been extremely lucky.
But don't ask me for about fucking skincare, because I don't know anything about it.
I think it's a girl thing.
Yeah.
She was just so relatable, she was just, and she's been on the show like 4 times, and I met her in Calgary, and she's just the sweetest person ever. So I kind of understand what you're saying. And on that note, is there anybody that you haven't worked with that would be like a bucket list?
Mhm. Yeah, but there's a ton of people I would like to work with if there was a bucket list. I don't know. I don't know. Pacino. Maybe
De Niro?
De Niro. Be another
He's
one.
in
I mean,
he's in the
there was
news lately. He's getting
ever
some
an
bad press
opportunity.
lately.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Who knows
sure
the truth though, right?
sure we've all gone through that, I'm sure. So
I bet, yeah.
there's enough bad news in the news right now that I'm not too worried about Mr. De Niro.
Right. He'd be great to act with, hey? Like just one of the classics.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, right on.
I'll keep my fingers crossed. I'll throw that out in the universe.
Positive thoughts. You never know what comes
Positive.
back.
Yeah, that's right.
Did you ever meet Clint Eastwood?
I have not, and I live in town, and we just haven't crossed paths. I
That's
mean,
why I asked,
I
because you live in Carmel.
suppose, yeah, but I mean, I'm sure I could if I went up to Tehama, which is his golf course, and played it, because he's there almost every day. But I haven't gone up there to play it. I'm not sure why I could. It's just that there's other courses that I can go to and frequent and practice,
Right.
and they're just a little bit more convenient, I guess. I mean, Tehama's literally across the highway, so it's not. But I have another one just up behind me here that I work at, and so they let me play and practice and whenever I want to, and I just tend to go up there.
Right. And so golfing is a big passion of yours.
Well, I mean, it has become a big passion. I didn't know
Yeah.
that it was going to be. Just turned out that way.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I walk some of the best golf courses in the world. I mean, I caddy at the Pebble Beach and Cypress Point, which I think is #1 in the world, and I get to play that as well. And Spyglass Hill, Spanish Bay, and the preserve that I work up here. It's in the Santa Lucia Mountains, about 10 miles into the mountains, and it's spectacular. I mean, you feel like you're in Jurassic Park up there. It's totally different totally different kind of feeling than the shore courses that are so plentiful around Carmel area. When you're up in those mountains there, it's pretty humbling.
Right.
I think the whole area is humbling, but I mean,
beautiful, right? Just beautiful.
Yeah.
And so, do you get recognized? Do you get recognized in Carmel as Cyrus, or is that a Canadian thing?
No, it's not. No,
it's a worldwide thing.
It is. Yeah, I have been recognized many times. Yeah.
I would
Most of the
imagine.
pros at all the golf courses I work at all watch the show. So,
Oh, that's awesome.
so it's I didn't know that initially, but found out fairly quickly.
Yeah, no doubt, eh? And they're probably always like, give us a Cyrus-ism.
Yeah.
Give us
Well,
the,
I don't.
F off, I got work to do, or
Yeah, we got to get those on the slide, though. You just don't know who might be standing around, so it's
that's
not as
right.
simple as that, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
golf courses can be very refined sometimes, so you gotta
Yeah.
be careful, eh?
You want to be careful about that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So on a serious note, Bernard, and we did talk about this on the last time that you were on the show. And for the viewers that are watching, I just want you to know that it's okay that I bring this up because this is something that Bernard is okay sharing with people. But you went through a very serious health scare when you
hmm
discovered you had prostate cancer.
Yeah. That was 6 years ago now. I was 57 when they found that by fluke because I didn't have any symptoms. So um, something that guys should maybe check out, and regardless of how well you eat and take care of yourself, because I thought I was indestructible as a athlete most of my life. Um, to maybe go get checked anyway.
Right.
And it's not like a doctor, needs you to
Bending you
bend
over and
over.
all
No,
that.
it means you need to go get see your urologist or go get a PSA test, which will determine whether or not your PSA is elevated.
And that's a blood
So
test, right, Bernard? Is that a
yeah,
blood test? Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
I think many men shy away from it because they think anything to do with their prostate is like, no, I'm not getting that touched, tested, looked at. I don't even want to think about it. And that's why, Bernard, I wanted to bring this up again because it's so important for men to know. It's a blood test.
yeah. That part
It's a
is a blood
life-saving
test.
blood test, right? That part,
Well, yeah, that part of it isn't going to hurt you.
right,
Um, there's a lot of other stuff that could, if it's highly elevated in your young man. Sometimes when you're older, it's going to be elevated anyway, just because of as we all
right,
get older. PSAs tend to go up in men, and so they'll tend to watch them, the levels from year to year. But I didn't have anything the year before, and it was found out it was
just like that. Eh?
7.5. So um, I had a very aggressive cancer in my prostate, and then so they had to go and take biopsy at that point. So yeah, then there's something going on, checking that out. Yeah, but you're generally you don't really feel that either. It's just the snipping. When they're taking the biopsies, can be a little pinch. But you know, I was lucky it wasn't outside the prostate, so they just went in and took it. If it's outside the prostate, then there's a whole other gamut of stuff you might have to go through, and so it's wise just to not when you're young. I would start at 45 and not 50.
Right.
You just don't know. I think a lot of guys when you're in your 40s are still piss and vinegar still in their heads, and
Yeah, yeah, I would agree.
um, yeah,
Because it's preventable, right? It's a preventable, it's a common
yeah.
but
There's
preventable
no,
death
yeah,
from
for
this.
sure it is. Yeah, yeah, yeah. 90, I think it's 97, 98% of it is curable,
Wow.
one way or another. So there's no reason for anybody to die.
To die from it.
1 in 7 guys are going to get it.
Did you
That's
say 1 in 7?
1 in 7 guys are going to get it. 1 in 29 guys die from it and no reason for them to do so. So,
Right.
that's a statistic. You can go Google it, guys, if you
Yeah,
want to,
no, I'm
but
sure you know. 1 in 7, guys, like 1 in 7, that's, go get your PSA checked. And Bernard, I love and respect that you would kind of use your platform as being, a public figure to share that message because I think oftentimes, like you said, men still think they're full of piss and vinegar and I'm good. And, but then when they hear an account from somebody that, maybe they respect or they admire, I think that you sharing your story can go a long way. So I definitely applaud you for that. And you're completely healthy and cancer free today.
yeah, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
good. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, everything's good.
So did that experience change at all the way you look at life, or what is important? Like, have different things become more important to you? Maybe that might not have been had that not happened.
Well, you know,
Like perspective is what I'm getting
great.
at.
I think that you're definitely more appreciative for being on the planet.
Yeah.
Um, Certainly changes your outlook on like whether or not you thought you were all that, and whether or not you were um, nothing could affect you.
Right.
Um,
And then
uh,
even though you were healthy, and that's a good message too, Bernard, it's that you can still be a healthy, because from what you said, you were living a healthy life. You were an athlete. You were taking care of yourself. So
yeah,
that's not always enough, right? So to be
no,
healthy.
it's definitely
Yeah.
not enough. Apparently, definitely not enough. I would definitely go get my PSA checked. And had the universe, I think just the circumstances of where I was and the people that I had met. One of the guys I golfed with was a urologist, and there was just, seemed to me like it was just meant to be that I was supposed to find out and have somebody take care of me, and that's how it went down for me. It's
Right.
not a lot of other people aren't so lucky, so um, don't be stupid.
Yeah. Basically, right.
Yeah, yeah.
So what are you most grateful for? You know, to date, after everything that you've experienced, and like, what are you most grateful for or most proud of, like, that stands out for you?
My daughter.
Aw. And she's beautiful. And has she followed in your footsteps at all, Bernard?
Oh, thank God not. She's still in Toronto. She's finishing her Bachelor of Science there right now. She's just rewriting her DATs. She had passed them, but she wanted a better score, so she got to
Good
rewrite them
for
again. So,
her.
yeah,
Awesome.
that's a little bit like me, I guess. Like, I'm not happy with that number. Like,
Are you a
well, I know I
perfectionist? Are
passed.
you a perfectionist?
I think anybody that's an athlete or tends to want to be into the entertainment industry tends to be a little bit
Right.
like a perfectionist, right? You're
Yeah.
always
I think
trying
you
to
have to be. Yeah, to some
find
degree.
a trying to find a better way, an edge to make that extra, you know, take a couple seconds off or be fast or whatever it is.
Read the line better. Do yeah, I would agree with
Yeah,
that 100%. And so
yeah.
one last question, Bernard, before I let you go. So what do you know now that you wish maybe you had known back then, when you were 18? Like, what have you learned that you wish you knew back then?
Oh, huh.
This is the Barbara Walters portion of the show.
Yeah. I don't know really.
I think,
I
what
think
I
the
would,
I think the
how I would answer
universe
that? It's all going to
I
be
think the
okay.
universe has a plan, and
Yes.
it just all falls into place in its time. I don't know that I would go back at 18 and say, or now, and thinking at 18 I would know anything better. Because to be honest with you, everything that I've learned, I'm not sure I wanted to know when I was 18 anyway.
Right.
Um, I was having fun and doing what 18-year-old boys do. So um, I think you just kind of live and let live, and you put good vibes out there, and you send out good energy, and it comes back to you. And yeah, there's nothing's ever going to be perfect. And sure, I made a lot of mistakes. I'm not going to lie about that. Um, it's just learning from them and making sure that you take something away from those, because I think that's what we're here for, is to make mistakes and kind of learn from them, so we don't come back maybe the next time and make the same goddamn mistakes.
Right. Right. Well said, Bernard. I would agree 100% with that. I would absolutely agree with that. Bernard, I can't thank you enough for coming back to help me celebrate my 3 years with the show. What is there anything coming down the road that you'll keep us posted on? It's the release for sure with your newest show, Bernard. And Bernard is frozen. So On that note, we'll wait for him to come back. I want to take a second to give a huge shout out to author Deborah Donahue. Deborah is a viewer, and she has written this amazing book called I Used to Live on Banning Street. And it is basically a trip down memory lane to life in the 80s out in the Ontario area. The book it will take you back down to a different time when you were living in the 80s, if you're in this age generation. So, and you can get the book on Indigo Chapters, Amazon, all the local suspects. So I Used to Live on Banning Street by Deborah Donahue. Thank you, Deborah, for the copy of this book. Special Bernard's gone, and that's okay. We were at the end of our interview anyway. Huge shout out to Writers and Rockers Coffee Company. And we'll see you next week with the Peacenik Collectives, which has just a ton of super cool. The lineup is just incredible. You can catch it on my Facebook page. Mark from Prism, Sherelle from Stone Poets, guitar player from Chilliwack, and it goes on and on and on. But I'll be posting that on my Facebook page, so you can check that out. And they will be here next Sunday. And also Michael Williams from Much Music. I have it in the works to book him back because, of course, he was late for his show and we had to cancel that. So Michael Williams will be coming back as well. Anyway, thanks for tuning in, everybody. Love you so much. Take care. Stay safe and sane. See you soon.